What is up? This is your LA in a minute, and this is part 2 of the Las Vegas origin story. In part 1, we left off in 1946 when Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky founded the Flamingo, which started a new era here in the desert. In part 2, I want to talk about how that new era laid the groundwork for the modern Vegas that we all know and love. Let's get into it. So the Flamingo was the first ultra-luxury hotel on the Strip. It had pools, it had gardens, it had air conditioning, it had big rooms, it had live performances, all novel on the Strip at the time in Las Vegas. And it was first class, just the way Bugsy Siegel intended. But it didn't stay Bugsy's or Meyer's for much longer, as Bugsy Siegel was murdered in 1947 and ownership changed hands to the owner of the El Cortez Hotel. So the Flamingo was designing a roadmap that's commonplace today. Gambling, big rooms, nice accommodations, features to entertain, great restaurants, great entertainers. And the rest of Vegas soon followed. The Sands, the Sahara, the Riviera, the Desert Inn, all these great hotels popped up in the 50s, and Vegas exploded. It also exploded literally. In the 1950s, there was a Nevada testing site 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas where they would detonate atomic bombs in regular intervals. It became a tourist attraction here in Vegas with cocktails named after the nuclear bombs, with atomic hour instead of happy hour, and at the top floor of certain hotels, they would have detonation time viewing parties. Wow. This era of Vegas was, like most other cities, still racially segregated. In 1955, the Moulin Rouge opened, and it was the first truly integrated casino. It didn't succeed for that long, but it sparked the idea, and most other casinos followed suit. However, it wasn't until Frank Sinatra of the Rat Pack refused to stay at a room in the Sands, unless Sammy Davis Jr. was afforded a room as well, that Vegas's color lines were truly broken. Vegas was about to change in other significant ways as well. Thanksgiving weekend 1966, eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes rented the top 2 floors of the casino for 10 days. At the end of his stay, he didn't want to leave, so they tried to kick him out and give those rooms to other casino whales. Instead, Hughes negotiated to buy the Desert Inn and ushered in an era of legitimacy to the Las Vegas Strip. Hughes purchased several more hotels, including the Sands and the Frontier, and that gave ownership of the casinos in Vegas a more family-friendly veneer. In addition, Hank Greenspun of the Las Vegas Sun made it his mission to root out ties between criminal organizations and legitimate business operations, in turn lessening the mafia impact of Las Vegas. The 70s saw an expansion of concerts, nightlife, performances, real marquee events, and Vegas after dark beginning to take shape. Places like Caesar's Palace were the place to be. 1970s saw a challenge arise to Vegas' supremacy. New Jersey voters approved gambling in 1976, and by 1978, casinos were popping up in Atlantic City. This was one of the first times in Vegas' history that growth started to stall. In 1980, there was a fire at the MGM Grand that killed 85 people and injured 700 more. With that, there were new building codes and regulations, and there wasn't a new hotel built on the Strip between 1973 and 1989. So for the first time in Vegas history, growth wasn't meteoric, but that would all change on November 22nd, 1989, when Steve Wynn opened the Mirage, the first ultra-luxury resort hotel, and the one that paved the way for modern-era Las Vegas. But that's a story for Origin Story Part 3. All right, LA. All right, Vegas. It's been a minute.